And I've split it into business and technical. So let's get into the business side. Now, generally speaking, what I like to tell people is if there is no business problem, there is no technical problem, right? If let's say someone has a technical problem, like, hey, my GUI is a little bit complicated to use, but it's not causing them money, it's not causing them pain. Like they can still do the job with that GUI that's annoying. They will continue using that GUI. There is no business problem. If that GUI that they're using keeps messing up or makes everything slower and costs people money, then you have a business problem. Therefore, you have a technical problem. And generally speaking, the way I like to define sales engineering is the process of solving a business problem through technology, right? You're not solving a technical problem, you're solving a business problem. If there's a business problem, then you might look into the technical problem. Yeah, so we're gonna move on. And when you have a business solution, that means you have a success story. Even if it's I talk to a lot of customers or I've seen a lot of SEs come and do discoveries, and their questions are like, oh, how many licenses do you need, or how many ports do you need, or we have a boring technology, so we don't need to understand. We already know what the business problem is. Like, for example, for me, I'm in test and measurement. Generally speaking, if you talk to other SEs, their questions are like, how many ports do you need? How many licenses? How much speed do you want? Because the customer knows exactly what our product does. But not all customers know what our product does. And even if they do, why would they buy more? And why wouldn't we want to understand why they're buying? And that's something that I found out, like people buy or people switch from one vendor to another, even though they're similar, because they have a problem they're trying to solve. And it's our job to understand that. And let's take Cisco, for example. They have the same solution that Nokia, that Juniper, that Arista, a lot of the similar solutions that everybody else has. So when you look at their websites, they have actually success stories. That's because the sales team found out what the business problem was. I'm looking at one specific city of Newcastle. You can find it on Cisco's website. And they have customer objection, Cisco solutions, and business outcome. That's the business outcome that we're trying to find. Like, what's the problem? And the objective was to gain control over more than 200 sites in the council's vast network. And the business outcome was they want to fix and find and fix network issues faster than ever. Right? So they're running into issues. They want to be able to fix it. Right? It's a technical solution for a business problem. If they didn't have that problem, doesn't matter how amazing your product is, you won't be able to sell it. And some of the questions that I like to use when we're meeting with customers, you can use them, you don't have to, but this is what I use, especially for the business side. And I always started off like, hey, why did you agree to meet with us? So when I was trying to sell my services as WeDSEs to hiring managers, my first question was like, hey, do you always say yes to meeting random people off the internet, right? It's a funny question, and they laugh. It could be just curiosity that they're trying to meet, or they could have a problem that they want to share. And generally speaking, they can tell you. One of the things that I found out is like, hey, is when I get the answer like, oh, my boss wanted me to meet with you. I know 100% that this guy is not going to be a champion, or this girl is not going to be a champion, and I need to find another champion, or just end the call. Right? Like, if you don't have a reason to meet with us, why would we have a reason to meet with you? So that's one question. For customers who for Cisco, Palo Alto, for companies that already have a very known solution, and you want to know why they're talking to you, it's like, hey, what drew you to our solution? What got you interested in us versus somebody else? Or maybe they're talking to all of you. Okay. What is it you're looking to achieve with this solution, whether it's ours or somebody else's? Who else is seeing this problem? And some of the questions that I like to ask is like, hey, what else? That's not a question, but it's something to ask people to keep talking. You can repeat the last few words that they say, or just sit in silence. And there are many questions that you can ask sales engineers. Sometimes the salespeople want to ask these questions. I don't see a delineation between these are questions only salespeople can ask, other than budget. Like, what's your budget? Even that, I would say, like, SEs have the right sometimes to ask that question, because sometimes the salespeople don't ask it, and sometimes the customer is asking for $1 million worth of solutions when they only have 5K in their pocket. And and the way I like to spin the budget questions, like, hey, you're asking for these things, it might cost some money. I just want to make sure that you have the budget set aside for this. Or, hey, can you share the budget so I make sure I fit my solution within that budget or around it? So again, work with your account managers, make sure you're not stepping on any toes when you're doing that. Let's jump into technical discovery. Again, we can go into way more depth. If you're interested in getting into way more depth into the discovery process and talking to different people, let me know. I'm happy to either chat about it in person or create another podcast episode for that.